You know, I've asked everybody working around autonomous equipment, what do you think about it? Everybody likes it because the machines do what they should do.
Sure.
And then it allows them to go do other stuff.
Right.
Or work in support machines or move up a little bit faster. Like it allows them to work in other parts of the operation.
Definitely.
Yeah, there was a video I saw. It was a Waymo. It was in San Francisco, and it drove into a construction area. And the road was shut. They were doing utility work or something like that. And so it drove in slowly, like it didn't run through the site. But then it just got stuck. Like it didn't know what to do.
That's exactly what happened in this job.
But these construction workers are like, so what do we do with it?
Right. Well, some of our guys in the video, you can see they're like talking to, like when it got close to them, they were like, whoa, like somebody was going to stop. So, I mean, your mind just hasn't comprehended that, hey, this is what's going to happen or what we're faced with. But that's hilarious.
Who do you call? Or like,
Exactly.
I think every construction company should have a podcast. I think it's the perfect medium because in construction, like how many people, I mean, the windshield time within your company, crazy.
That was my point. It's like we have employees that drive all the way from Alabama. I mean, there's a ton of people that are unfortunately on the road an hour each way a day. Sure. I mean, I would say over 50% of our employees are riding more than an hour each way. So there's no excuse that, hey, I don't have time to listen to whatever. It's just whether you make it a priority or not. Yeah. But again, it took a little bit of the inability to get the message to everybody. Now you can really say, hey, that information was there. We shared it with you. It's not an I got you, but it's, hey, really try to listen to it. One, you'll learn from a lot of great leaders at all levels of the organization or outside, but also you'll know what's going on in the company, how much backlog we have, what's recognizing employees, whether it's retirement. And again, probably one of my favorite parts is that employees are sending recognitions in about their peers, so we get to share that at every episode.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
I do think that I've reflected a lot upon, I think it's essential for you to be involved in it. Like I do think it's not what makes the whole thing, but like whoever is leading the organization has to be involved.
I agree.
And this is something I've noticed within construction is sometimes whoever's leading isn't the best communicator, but it's like that's your job, especially at your level. You don't build anything anymore. Right. You're not estimating anything. Exactly. You're not.
Absolutely. And honestly, I mean, I'm not the best communicator, but it started, I mean, when we started doing it, I was like super nervous and planning out questions and all that. And it's gone completely away from that into let's just have a conversation. And I feel like now I'm stuck in from my heart. And whether it's, great communication or not, I think it's more like who we are. So we're having a conversation. We're kidding around. We're having a great time, sharing these experiences with these amazing employees. So it's more of honestly, for me, it's kind of a turn the phone off, and it's more of a detox for an hour every 2 weeks of, hey, you can kind of put all that aside and just have an awesome conversation with one of your teammates.
But that's good communication. And I feel like people, especially at bigger companies too, they just think too much about everything, and they try to control everything, and almost let the lawyers, the lawyer on one shoulder and the HR person on the other shoulder, control everything. I just fell victim to this. I was trying to draft the perfect message about something that happened within the business, and I just got fed up. It's like, what am I doing? And if you try to craft the perfect message, then it does the opposite because it's not genuine.
You're exactly right.
And so I just recorded a video and said, this is what happened.
Yes. Because that's who you are. That's the culture of the organization. Again, at first, we were preparing so much for it. And I'm like, that's not really who we are. We're sending the scripted message or whatever. Yeah. No. Excellent point. We're talking about, and I can dig into or share more with you, but we've got this advanced leadership program we just started. First time we've done this, and we have 5 teams doing different topics that they will present at the end of the year. And one of them that I really wanted them to work on, some of it came from their ideas, but definitely from ours as well, is the next downturn. It's what the label of it. Just because a lot of our young middle managers and up and comers really didn't experience a downturn of 08, 09. And one of the for the guys that were there, the number one thing they told me that they felt we could have done better was communicate and be honest when things were happening, right? It was, I think everybody in the industry was going through a hard time, but if you're upfront and say, times are tough, this is what we're going to do, this is the process, these are the other things that we're doing, the feedback was like everything was being secretive, and I wasn't with Matthews at that time, but in the company I was working for before, kind of similar, right?
Sure.
So I think if we learn one lesson is, hey, let's just be upfront with our people and in everything we do. And they might not take the news well, but at least you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I was open, I told you what was going on, and I think that's at least I hope that's how our culture is now at the company. So I think there's plenty of lessons learned from that.
Well, it's relieving from a leadership standpoint to just, here's how it is.
Right.
And it's like, oh, I don't have to I don't have to calculate the message, and I can just talk.
Yes.
And I think that's why the podcast format is so popular now too. Like I was on, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, but Fox News a few weeks ago, Fox Business, which was great. Like that's fine.
Awesome.
But it's such an odd format. It's a format I am not used. And that was it. That was the format for a very long time. Was it's going to be 3 minutes. You're going to be paired with somebody else you don't know. You're going to get passed around from different, control room to this person, this person. Now you're on. You're going to get 2 questions. You're going to have, just.
Did you know what the questions were going to be?
Not really, but then it's not even. It's like it's surface level because it's only just a few minutes.
Yes.
It's just the format. It's just it's constrained, and I'm used to this,
right?
Or I can just talk with people,
or
or what we do on social media. It's like.
I can see where that would have been different.
Well, it's I was into it. I was like, wow, this is way different than what I'm used to.
I gotta look it up. I hate that I missed it.
I don't know if it was worth all that much.
I'm sure it was. I did see. I was listening not long ago because I followed Dave Ramsey and I saw where y'all, and I was like, how awesome is that these two guys are together?
Yeah.
And I mean, for our industry, right?
Sure.
I think, man, that was a great episode.
Well, and he just makes so much sense.
Yes.
Everything he says,
absolutely. It's like. That makes sense.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It does.
You can't refute a lot of it.
I loved it. And I mean, I was impressed of his knowledge about the industry. Like you could tell he's worked either with construction company or construction people because he, the conversation was very much where he understood where the industry is or was going and that sort of thing. So.
Well, and like in that conversation, it was a lot about family business.
Yes.
Construction's predominantly family business.
Absolutely.
And very few other industries are like that nowadays. Most of them are so consolidated now that you want to go start a phone company, car company,
right? Like
it just doesn't work. Right. But construction
still is. That's a good point.
You can go. Cat Finance will give you a skid steer. Give your dog a skid steer. I mean, they'll give everybody a skid steer, and you're a contractor.
Yeah, that's true.
But his it was the first time I'd heard someone explain the intergenerational struggles so clearly, because I've seen it so many times. I'm sure you've seen it, and everybody in the construction industry, no matter what position they're in, has seen it.
Sure.
And it's great. And it's terrible, and it's everything in between. But he was able to just articulate it so clearly.
He did.
Wow, I'd never heard it explained like that before.
How did you two connect?
It was through Jason. We've been building a relationship with Ramsey for years now because of the need for what they do
Sure.
within the construction
Absolutely.
industry. It's a no-brainer to be
Without a
involved with.
doubt.
And when it comes to managing finances, who's better?
Right.
No,
Awesome.
no one. So we've developed that relationship, and then this opportunity came up, and
Very neat.
126, there we were. What's the? How are you facilitating the advanced leadership program?
Man, I'll tell you, I'm so pumped about this. So, again, it's the first year we're doing it. We've done a what we call Frontline Leadership Academy for quite some time now, and we're continuing to do that. But the idea was, okay, how do we take it to the next level, and again, just have a group of coworkers that are really either just entered into an executive level position or kind of are the future of the company. So. We partnered the frontline leadership. We were doing that with Wally Adamczyk, and so reached out to Wally on that. We had been talking about it for a little while because I had gone through something similar when I worked for a prior company.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's a little different format, but Wally came in. So there's a total of 4 people leading it, I should say, from the outside, or really not so much leading it, emceeing it, I should say. Wally, Lanny House, he was a professor at NC State, and then Joe Schneider is one of them. I don't know if you've interacted with him. Great person, just individual and coach, and then Garth, who's worked with Wally. Ex-military. So anyway, they each have they're doing some coaching with these. We got 20 people in the class. There's some peer-to-peer coaching. They're doing that, but really is they're taking all kinds of personality assessments, and then we're doing. Just trying to expose them to things even outside of the industry. So one of the neat things we just did is we went to Chick-fil-A headquarters to visit them and their VP of innovation, spent some time with the team.
Wow.
Their culture lead did their HR, and then their strategy person. So it's more about, how do you pave a road or build a bridge? It's trying to get them to think strategically, at a higher level. And these, like I said, these are going to be the people leading the company in the future.
So is this like project manager level or vice president level?
There's vice presidents and project managers.
Okay.
We've got people from our estimating team. We've got people from our grading division, asphalt plant. But yeah, middle management into the executive level, and again, a lot of kind of digging into who you are as a person. Maybe some things that you got to work on here in the next few weeks. Are going to do a 360 to get some feedback from their bosses and peers and their own employees. Just a multitude. I want to say it's probably a terrible description for it. Originally, I called it a mini MBA. It's really not that because we're not getting a ton into the financial stuff.
Sure.
It's really more getting them put in situations, discuss opportunities for improvement, both personally and for the company. But one of the things that we just did, or they did, is they read a book called Edge Strategy, for example. So they presented in groups. They get to work in groups and just ideas for the company of maybe business segments that we're not currently performing, where we could utilize our people and equipment to do these things without really spending a bunch of capital. Or it could have been ideas that are something we're just not doing that fits in the realm of the industry. So
Sure.
A ton of that. The other part is just the camaraderie. I mean, they're spending a ton of time together, and they're doing projects together that they're going to present. So I just feel like, you can kind of tell they're all clicking, and eventually, again, they're going to have to work together at their next roles or their current roles. So I just think it'll make us stronger in the future. Great feedback from everybody, and then in pure honesty, like, it's given us an opportunity to kind of learn more and see these individuals interact between each other and others and say, hey, I'm thinking this guy might be the next X.
Yeah.
Is he really prepared to that? They go over this thing called levels of work can they really step into the next role, or are they capped out at this point? So, so far, so good though. And I think, like I said, the feedback that we're getting, we'll go to the Caterpillar plant in September, and we'll have some interaction with some executives there.
The one up the road in
Athens? In Athens,
yeah.
We'll have interaction with a nonprofit in Athens, and serve in that. So it's a lot of different realms and kind of ideas coming from everywhere. And then, like I said, the final quote unquote graduation will be them presenting on these 5 topics that they'll be researching and presenting a plan on how we could improve in a lot of different areas, divisional cooperation, compensation and benefits. I mean, just exploring a lot of different things. And we're challenging them not to just look internally, but and not even in our industry, look outside, Feel free to explore and see. Maybe we can learn something, which I know we can from the outside, that maybe we could bring in and make us better. So it's exciting.
Did you pick these people? Or
so they applied.
Okay.
That was kind of interesting and tough, to be honest with you, because since it was the first class, we had 63 applications.
Wow.
And we were only going to select 16, but ended up selecting 20. So we will do another one. Not sure if next year or a couple years from now, but it was great for the 20 that got selected, and then a few tough conversations with some people that didn't get selected, which I loved in a way because they were passionate and they wanted to know, hey, why did I not get selected? What do I need to do or improve on to get selected for the next one? And honestly, there were some people that didn't get selected and they were ready for it. It's just that we wanted to keep the group small enough where they would be a smaller group, more interaction. Obviously, the coaches don't need a ton of people, so it worked well.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's. I'm like I said, I'm very excited. I think they are too. So, and they appreciate. I mean, one of the feedback we get is, hey, we would like to get better training, but more on the leadership side, and I think this is bringing that to them.
Are you involved in the program at all?
We're involved in that. We're participating. Yeah. I get excited about stuff like that, but honestly, the chairman of our company has been going, our CFO, obviously our HR folks, just more to make sure that messages are aligned. And heck, I'm learning. I mean, at the Chick-fil-A thing, I was taking notes like if I was a student, because I need it too, right? I mean, you kind of get in the tunnel and you forget that, hey, what about this, that, or the other? So I left there with, I'm sure, as many notes as some of those people. And we got lucky. This wasn't planned at all. We finished the day, for example, Chick-fil-A, we were walking into the corporate headquarters, and one of the family members, the son of Truett Cathy, was coming out.
Wow.
Just purely coincidental. He spent 15 minutes with our team. I mean, he had everybody doing the Chick-fil-A cheer. None of that was planned. That was just in the entrance. But he shared his vision for the company, for the past and also for the future, so clear, just in a few minutes in the entrance of the building. It was pretty neat. And then we got to meet the grandson, and he kind of told some stories about him. But just to see, again, their culture and their vision and the innovation side, and then we want to do that, like I said, with other industries. And then we're looking at ourselves in the mirror and kind of saying, hey, where do we want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What are some of the things we need to accomplish to get there? And again, are these 20 the right people to get us there?
Yeah, because that is the future of the company.
Sure. Without
Those
a doubt.
individuals.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's the whole company, but it is that leadership.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, that's
and we have one
thing.
family member in the group that works for the business, so it was one family member, but there's 19 others that are not. And the reality is, yes, that those will be the folks leading the company in the future.
Yeah, because it's still family held.
Yes.
But the family's not involved in the day-to-day.
There's very few family members involved. We have the chairman of our board, is obviously
Yeah.
leading from that perspective, but not
that's
in
Mr.
the day-to-day.
Matthews.
No, that's actually Matt Burton, who's Bob Matthews' son-in-law.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then the fourth generations come in. So Michael Matthews, he ran a grading crew for several years. Now he's on the asphalt plant side. So he's working at plants, dealing with FOB customers, dealing with that
gotcha.
side. And then Matt's son is involved. He's more on the investment side of the company.
Sure.
And then one of the son-in-laws has come in. That's fourth generation. He's working as a project engineer on our grading division.
Sure.
So there's a few, but not a lot of family. But neat to see them, right? Because they're super engaged. I mean, they're just not, collecting a check or anything. I mean, they're actually in the day-to-day working just like all their peers out there, but obviously have some insights. Two of them are part of our board, but they have day jobs where they're working just like everybody else, which is awesome to see.
I think that's huge.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of ways to do it, but I think it's cool when it's your family held, which gives you some freedoms.
Yes.
That other ownership structures don't allow you.
Absolutely.
But then everybody's still very engaged and aligned with the business. Because what generation is it now? It's
Fourth.
Yeah,
This
fourth.
is the
yeah,
fourth,
so
yes.
what, 75 years?
It'll be 80 years next
80.
year, so we're
Okay.
at 79 years right now. So yes.
But you can get 80 years out, and at a business that size too, you can get a lot of family involved.
Right.
at that fourth level.
Yes, you can.
And sometimes they're involved in the business, sometimes they're not.
Yes.
But then everybody's not necessarily aligned, and that it could work or it could create
Right.
complications.
I call it half involved doesn't work. That's my saying is you either have to be fully involved or not involved because just coming in and out, that creates problems. I think, you insert yourself and then you leave. Thankfully, we don't have that. So, those that are in the business are fully involved and there's not somebody that's really just kind of half in it and that just comes in and maybe makes some suggestions or proclamations and then you might not see for a while. Thankfully, we don't have that, which is why I think makes it successful.
If you're looking for another industry event that is a snooze fest, this is definitely not for you. But if you're a leader looking to elevate yourself, your team, looking for like-minded individuals that are hungry, then look no further than the Ariat Dirt World Summit, November 5th through the 7th in Dallas, Texas. In our third year, we'll have about 1,500 hungry industry leaders from about 500 companies looking to learn, grow, teach. It's going to be fantastic. We also have a world-class lineup. We've got Jesse Cole from the Savannah Bananas, James Clear, Atomic Habits, Kim Scott, Radical Candor, Mark Miller, Chick-fil-A Leadership, Tim Grover, who is Michael Jordan's trainer. You will not hear from a lineup like this anywhere else. So check out details now, dirtworld.com. You can use code Aaron10 for 10% off any registrations, and we'll see you November 5th through the 7th in Dallas, Texas.
How old's your oldest kid?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, about to turn 25.
Okay.
Yes.
Do your kids have any interest in construction?
I
or
wish.
not
I
really?
wish they did. 4 girls, 1 boy. Our son worked for us all summer doing quality control, but the girls I couldn't convince. And it breaks my heart because I think it's such an awesome industry, and I really think they would have enjoyed it, but no, I'm not successful. Yeah, I've not been successful in that.
But it is an industry where you can't be half in, half out either.
Absolutely.
Like you've either got to be all in on it, or it's just not going to work.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
I mean, a paving crew in July.
Yes.
In Georgia.
Yes. Exactly. That's tough.
That's tough.
Yes.
That's hard work.
It really is.
Nights or whatever it is it's.
Sure.
You've got to be all in.
And I love that they're involved because when you're making decisions about people, whether it's compensation, benefits, or just anything, they understand, right? You can have that conversation where they understand where you're coming from, whereas if you're removed, really not involved, you don't have that connection with the employees or understand what they go through. That's why for years I loved working for Bob Matthews because, I mean, he really was in the trenches and grew through it. So
Sure.
he understands that when it rains, you can't pave, or when market conditions are tough, that, you know, you get more competitive. And having the family understand all those dynamics is awesome because they're in the trenches with you, you know, at all levels. They understand why you're making the decisions you're making, and you know, it makes life a lot easier for someone like me.
Absolutely. Where do you spend most of your time nowadays? How often do you get out into the field?
I don't get out as much as I used to, unfortunately. You know, a lot of it is, which I know is important. It's just being out in the field is what I love. But, but you know, like right now, a ton around this advanced leadership program. Large projects have come into the area, so we're spending a ton of time, you know, at high level negotiating contracts or talking to potential, you know, owners of these large projects. Still pretty involved on the estimating side at a higher level, but just on larger jobs there as well. And then, you know, we did an acquisition last year, so I spent a good bit of time kind of in that area. It's through the gamut. I mean, still involved in, you know, was driving up here this morning. We got an issue. We're paving at an airport where we had, you know, an issue, and kind of somewhat involved with that. Just kind of know what's going on, but definitely more on the bigger picture. A ton on the employee side, you know, involved on the overall on the safety side. But I guess at you know, more of a I wish I had more time for the strategic side. I tend to find myself, you know, going back into the operations because I love that part, but definitely have made more of a concerted effort to say, okay, and I trust our team, so it's not like I don't, but it's like, hey, let them handle the day-to-day, those kind of issues, and try to you know, back off and really help more at the higher level. And with larger jobs and more complexity coming into Georgia, you know, trying to spend more time in that, continuing to build relationships in that area with our customers and that sort of thing.
The giant job you guys are starting, over $1 billion.
Yes,
we can talk about this stuff since you're public contractor.
Sure.
Because sometimes we can't talk numbers because it's private and whatever it is.
Right.
What was your biggest job?
Oh my goodness! I think our biggest was around $300 million.
Okay,
so it's four times as big.
Four times the size.
Yes. We built the and this was before I joined Matthews. There was a joint venture of APAC and Matthews to build the 5th runway at the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport.
Oh man,
that was a large job.
I wish I could have seen.
Man, they had the conveyor going over the interstate. And all that.
Yes.
And then we had built a large job on 316, but nothing like this. And I'll say, I mean, it sounds huge, and it is, believe me. I mean, you know, it's not that, you know, it doesn't make you nervous starting a job that big, but it's what we do day in and day out. You know, it's bridge work, it's paving, it's grading. It's just a very large intersection. The 5th worst intersection in the country as far as traffic and congestion. So there'll be a lot of, you know, nights, days, weekends, all that sort of stuff. But the good thing is, you know, it's in our wheelhouse. It's what we do, and so yeah, we're excited about it. We've gone through it's a design build finance. It's the first time that we're doing a job that has a finance component. So the DOT has a certain amount of money they pay in certain years, and you basically have to finance the gap. So, so obviously we work with outside consultants to get that part lined up. But the work itself, like I said, is what we do day in and day out. And we just finished, or still haven't finished, the design portion. All the design won't be completed till probably close to summer. But there's areas of the job that are opening up that we're already going.
So yeah, to explain that to somebody that hasn't been involved in estimating $1 billion job, you're not just getting a bid packet and putting a price on it and putting it in an envelope and sending it to Georgia DOT,
right?
And then they read the prices, and whoever's lowest gets it.
Although it wasn't too far from that. I mean, you kind of put the bid together like any other, but obviously the design component. I mean, our team spent months and months. I mean, this job was over a couple of years, kind of looking at ways to improve, come up with ideas, because being a design build, we had more flexibility, obviously, of coming up with ways to cut cost
But explain that process.
Oh, goodness.
And so they kind of tell you what they want.
Yeah, they give you a basic 30%. This is kind of what we want, and then we team up with an engineering firm and start the conversation. I mean, when I tell you hundreds, thousands of hours of meetings with the engineering firm, with numerous people at our company. We have, it's small, but it's mighty. We have a separate division that just deals with design build projects. Okay. So, I mean, they spend an incredible amount of time coming up with ideas that then we present to the DOT. There's what they call one-on-one meetings. So you come up with these ideas, you bring them to the DOT, and you discuss them with them. And the other teams competing against you are doing the same thing. And then, they vet them. They said, yes, proceed with this idea, or no, we don't want that. So, I mean, that process took over a year. And then the day comes where you turn in your price, and then you also turn in your technical proposals. So then, the DOT evaluates pricing, and they evaluate, they know what they're doing, or this is, their ideas or plans, and then that's how they award. And then once they award, in this case, because it had the finance component, we had to reach financial closing, make sure that all the terms there were correct, which, I mean, that was very complicated. I mean, bonds and banks and consultants and million attorneys and just a lot of people that guide you in that process. And then you also begin the design process, which is going to take 18 months of getting all that finalized, and then you go to work, right? So it's a lot. I mean, and you learn in all of these, but we have had a good bit of experience in design build, but much smaller projects. So and those have gone well for us. Like I said, our team has done a good job. But this obviously much larger project, and having the finance component, we had more outside consulting help in that area than we've had in the past.
Which engineering firm?
ICE. So yeah, we're using Arcadis and ICE on that project, which in our area are incredible. They're very good. They understand the DOT. They know the work, so it's been good. There's other great firms. We've teamed up with other engineering firms, but for that project, that's who we're with.
But and you guys are the largest road contractor in Georgia, but you're competing against these behemoth organizations.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Biggest construction companies in the country.
Absolutely. And in the world, right?
They're doing this.
World. Yeah, they're doing it. For those kind of projects, I mean, you're seeing very few American companies looking at those. Mainly it's these large companies.
So you're a big fish usually, but
this is a whole nother level. This is a whole nother level.
You're the smallest guy.
Yes, we absolutely are. And the funny thing is, when the job was announced, it because of one thing and another, there was two jobs concurrent that were concurrent as far as the process, and it somehow, some way, the DOT ended up deciding to read out both jobs on the same day. So they read our job first, and we were selected. So for 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes, we were the largest job in the history of the state. And then 10 minutes later, they announced the other job, which is State Route 400. Our job's 1.2. That job was $4.5 billion. I mean, crazy. 4 times our size. And so, again, for 10 minutes, we were the largest job. And now, of course, that project is getting, on its way. That was a whole different team, Flatiron, Dragados, and Acciona, that secured that job, and it's a 50-year concession. So much larger job, but both ours is just now starting today. It's our first day of actual physical work on the job, but and then their job by next summer it'll start, and again, $4.5 billion jobs. It's just incredible.
What's crazy though, and we were talking about it a little bit before we started recording, is like $1 billion job 10 years ago.
Oh yes.
Almost unheard of.
Oh, absolutely.
Or like some giant mega project somewhere. That's like, wow. I
Not
mean,
around our area. Yeah.
Yeah.
You thought of this somewhere else.
Or like
right?
highway job. Like,
yes.
It was almost unthinkable. And then in the private market, like $1 billion private development was like as big as it gets. Now they're like on every street corner. It seems like nowadays. But yeah, these multi-billion dollar jobs are almost starting to become like, I don't want to say common, but not uncommon.
Yes, not unheard of, right? Which before you were like, I mean, like I say, even for us, $1 billion jobs, like, now that's huge.
Yeah.
But then 10 minutes later, you've seen that $4.5 billion job. It is, to your point. I mean, I think it's more common now, obviously, than it was years ago. I mean, even smaller jobs, like it used to be. I mean, Bob Matthews talks about this, like a $20 million job was a huge job, when he was starting out and all that. I mean, years into the company.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I mean, $20 million, unfortunately, doesn't go very far, you know. So definitely that has changed over the last couple of decades.
A job that big, it is substantial risk for the company, isn't it?
Oh, significant.
So you've got to get it. You've got to make sure you get it right.
Absolutely. All eyes are on it. But we have a great team. I feel really confident about the team. And again, a year into it, I think the riskiest part is the design, right? That all the assumptions you made, are they going to, prove to be correct? And sure. I mean, obviously you got to build it, and that part is not an easy task. But I think a large portion of the risk was, say, what assumptions did you make at bid time, and are they materializing? And again, so far so good there. Now you got to get out there and build it. And the risk there obviously is, I mean, you got to do quality work. There's a tremendous amount of money that we're getting paid. The other part of that job is that we have to do quality assurance, quality control. So yes, the DOT has a consultant and they're there to verify, but you're in essence doing quality control and quality assurance with other firms to make sure that, that you're not cutting any corners, or whatever the case you might want to call it, that the work you're producing is to the highest standard.
Yeah.
So some risk in that side, but hopefully, again, nothing that we don't experience on a $20 million or $40 million jobs, just at a much greater scale.
Sure.
So,
yeah, it's still building the road.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
What's funny is these big jobs too, I see online. You were talking about just kind of the everyday person. They don't understand how this stuff works, and it's not their fault.
Right.
It's not explained anywhere.
Sure.
Just how much criticism there is sometimes on these projects.
Yes.
And I see all the time, like there'll be these big highway projects and they'll be talking about online. I love looking at comments. I think comments are very telling.
Without a doubt.
Sometimes they're hilarious. Like
they really are.
Really clever people.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, man.
The comments are hilarious, and then the responses to the comments are hilarious. And I mean, people were like, used to be people were like kind to each other. I mean, now, they hide behind the screen, and I mean, they're ruthless, man.
Ruthless, but some of them are really funny.
Oh, they're hilarious.
So one, hilarious, but two, it's like I use them also to gauge the temperature, and it's not perfect, but
yes.
you can understand. And I feel like people, I think it's a problem. People are very jaded post 2020.
Yes.
Very jaded about everything. And infrastructure is like the very physical government spend. Like sometimes really the only major government spend that the average person will interact with.
Sure.
And some of the frustration and some of like all these people are getting rich off this road construction.
Without
it's like,
a doubt.
or like what they say about the company owners. And it's like, I haven't found any of those guys.
Right.
Maybe they exist somewhere.
Right.
But
it's so jaded, right? I mean, it's just, and I mean, if it's, social media, everything's true in social media. So if somebody reads it, they just assume that that's a fact. And I mean, again, it can be, I mean, you can go in two directions. You can let it get to you and get frustrated, or you can kind of just laugh and say, hey, unfortunately, they just don't have an understanding of really what goes into. I mean, to your point, the Matthews family is putting a lot on the table to go do this job.
Sure.
And in our industry, as pretty much most of your listeners know, it's like the margins are not.
No.
What you would think for that kind of risk, right? I mean, I don't know what other industry takes as many risks as ours does for the returns that come out of it. So, it's education, it's things like what you're doing, and if projects are going well, then it also helps you. I mean, there is some good publicity on projects when you're completing them on time and within budget, and you treat the public. One of the things on this job, there'll be a lot of social media and just a lot of marketing communication about what's going on and when certain lanes are going to be closed and that sort of thing, because obviously you want the public to at least tolerate, because we're going to be out there for 5 years. So
but this is something we still struggle with. I remember we were on a site visit last summer in Denmark at a tunnel, big time, like mega project. And the guy, he was head of media. He was just happy to have us out there, and it was really interesting. It was a different dynamic because they own the project, this big government agency. So they're the owner, they're the DOT in the case. But before our visit, they're like, we have to go talk to the contractor about this, and we need to make sure the contractor is okay with this. So it's just it's a different culture,
different dynamic,
and it's very like partner based, which I think the United States could learn from. But he was also very confused that we struggle to get access to some of these projects, which we still do to this day. I mean, it's just brutal. And he's like, why wouldn't you want to talk about it?
Sure.
Like what do we lose? Why wouldn't we want to be engaging more with the public? And it's like the public is the customer.
Sure.
Like the motorist, the parent in their car with their kids.
Absolutely.
Like, that's the customer. So shouldn't we be serving them?
Right.
And involving them in the process? Like, aren't they the key stakeholder here? And I see these projects, some of them are great with their communication. Other times, and I think it's the majority of the industry is still just very traditional. And it's like, we're just going to build the damn road.
Get out of our way.
Get out of our way. Like, we don't want any trouble. We just want to, like a major contractor recently said, nope, we have a policy, corporate policy. We don't allow outside media at all. And it's like,
that makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Again,
it's so frustrating.
When it's only going to help. It's back to the point we were making earlier about just, communicating with your employees and the public.
Yes.
If you're being upfront and say, hey, this project, it's going to suck. You're going to be in traffic for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do. This is what it's going to look like at the end. You'll be happy with the product. And by the way, let us know, how we can improve. I think that just earns a lot of respect.
Yeah.
And for us, it's so important because it's not like we're coming in from another state or country or whatever to build one project and leaving. This is where our people live. It's where, we live. So it's important to have that kind of communication. Obviously there's going to be people that are going to get upset and things won't go perfect. But if you deal with them with transparency and kind of keep the public informed. And I will say, you made the comment about partnership. So one of the requirements for this project is that we had to find an office where we are in the same building with the DOT, next to each other. So there's partnering meetings. There's a lot of communication going on. The teams are specific to that project. They're not working on other DOT projects or whatever the case may be. So far, so good in that area, in that there's a lot of conversations, kind of shared goals of completing the project on time, and it's a good way to do it. To your point, other countries have done this very successfully, and if you can be on the same page as a DOT and in the good times on the project or when there's issues and you're kind of dealing with them together instead of pointing fingers, then the project's going to be more successful.
Well, but that goes back to the leadership skills we were talking about earlier. It's just like, I see this all the time. You see the ego gets involved. I mean, egos everywhere in construction.
Right. Absolutely. Yes.
But like, yeah, you end up on different pages than the DOT or the customer or whoever. But it's like, wait. So what's your goal here? To build the job on time and on budget.
Right.
What's your goal here? To build the job on time with it. So why are we arguing?
Why are we arguing? And I mean, we had a little small item come up already on this job, and that was a conversation. It's like, I mean, let's just read the contract. We both agree on what we want to advance the project. And when everybody thinks that way, then, you come up to reasonable and quick solutions rather than, like you said, getting in a ton of arguments and pointing fingers and all that. In some of these large jobs, I mean, you can read about them, E&R and a lot of other places, they haven't gone well.
They go so far south.
So it's important to get kicked off in a good way and with that mindset, like you said, hey, we have a common goal. Let's try to make this happen. So
well, and that's another thing. When projects go south, then people don't like talking about them as well, especially like governments even start to just brush it under the rug. Like, no, don't even talk about it. I read a phenomenal book called How Big Things Get Done. If you haven't read it,
I have not.
10 out of 10 would recommend it. It's these guys that have studied mega projects.
Okay.
That's their study globally, just mega projects.
Great.
And why they almost always go way over budget and way over schedule.
I'm reading it on the way back.
It's brilliant.
Okay.
It is
how big projects get done.
How big things get done.
How big things get done.
I'll send you the exact book. But it's all about how these projects go terribly wrong and what they've learned as a result and what you can do to avoid that. Mm-hmm. But it's really interesting. Like, you think at this scale, well, of course they're going to get it right, but it doesn't take all that much to then just
derail.
Yeah, just veer into this wild. And then and he was talking about it, how like once it starts to go down that path, it almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because you don't want to talk about. You don't want to acknowledge that it's not going well. Right. But then you have to acknowledge it to fix. Like, we're doing this within our company right now. We're having to say some things out loud within these meetings that are not fun to say. But it's almost a relief to put them out there.
Sure. Because it's the truth. Sure.
And you can't solve the problem until you acknowledge the problem.
Sure.
But it's so human nature. Like, it's so tempting to dance around it, or to, it's not that bad, or but XYZ.
Or point fingers at someone else, right?
Yeah.
Normally when things start going down, everybody's trying to find, well, who's guilty instead of like getting in the middle of it and trying to fix it.
Yeah. But it's
all these big jobs. I mean, you see the claims. I mean, when you read all these articles, the claim with the owner and all that. So, I mean, it turns into a legal battle rather than building a project. Yeah. And I mean, the focus is elsewhere.
Which disappoints me, though, because again, the consumer, the end user, they're the one that they lose. Like, the legal community, they win. Oh, good for them. But like you've already talked about how DOTs, they have a budget.
Right.
You can't exceed that budget.
Right.
And so if more of that budget's going to the legal community and
it's
not
less
to
work for us.
Infrastructure,
Yes.
It's less work for you and it's less infrastructure for the community. And then it degrades the community because
and it degrades the industry because the taxpayer, the traveling public, is not happy because the project took twice as long as it should have. Yeah. So, I mean, it all snowballs in those kind of cases.
Yeah. But it's there's a project on the West Coast right now. It's like it's so clearly like the biggest infrastructure failure in United States history. Mm-hmm. How much they've spent on it and how little has been achieved. It's wild.
Rail project?
It's a rail project, yeah. But it's
might have heard of it.
West of the Mississippi.
Yes.
I'll leave it at that.
Yes.
But it's just
it's bad. I mean, it's bad for everybody,
it's
right?
So bad.
Yes.
but you see that like, but no one wants to own up to
Right.
it. And the answer, like, and especially the politicians, like, we just need more money.
Right.
We just need to keep building it. And it's like, at what point do you say, hey, this is not working?
Exactly.
And you just see them getting deeper and deeper into it, and you're like, oh my gosh.
It's awful.
Yes.
And again, it puts black eye on the whole industry, right? So
And it does, yeah. And it's like, okay, that contractor's, getting more work, but I think that contractor loses big picture as well, because it's like, cool, you're getting work here, but you're not able to build other things that are actually necessary within that market. And it's from my perspective, it's so interesting to watch.
It really
it's like,
is.
I don't have a horse in the race. I just spectate from the outside
Sure.
with like some insider knowledge.
But having you traveled and seen all these big projects, you know what a successful project looks like, and then you have something like that kind of, in the energy and that takes away from other projects. To your point, or the industry, the funding, and all that is significant.
Well, I'm 30. I'm still naive. Like, I'm not far enough along where I still have like my ignorance is waning, but I still have enough of it to be very much glass half full. And it's like, I want to believe that infrastructure is just for the common good of society and is not a political ploy. But
don't give up on that. I'm like you. I'm a lot older, but I want to believe that
Yes,
it is,
and I think
that
it
for
is,
most
but
of the time it works. Obviously
of
you
the
only
time.
hear about these bad jobs. Nobody ever calls about the project that's going well, or very few people highlight it. That's why I love what you do. But you're right. It does kind of make you think, man, it's just, that's a prime example. It's turned into a political.
Well, and it's just like, why can't we just build infrastructure because it's best for our people, our economy? And like, isn't high quality infrastructure, like, why is that an argument anywhere?
Right.
Like, shouldn't we all be on the same page of that?
It's a great investment. You're employing people. You're obviously getting a product at the end of it, so it should be. And
just the future. Like, you've kids. Like, the quality of their future is dictated by the quality of infrastructure.
Without a doubt.
It doesn't get more fundamental than that.
Yes.
So it's like, if we want to go build a better future, we need better infrastructure, and it's frustrating sometimes to see how spectacular, and it's kind of a flawed perspective, kind of not, but it's like, I was, Jakarta, I'm in their airport. It's one of the most extraordinary airports I've ever been in Jakarta. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting not one of the, like maybe one of the lesser airports in the United States, like that level. And I fly out of this just beautiful airport. Everything about it is gorgeous. And it's even designed better because when you get off the plane, you go to a different level. So the people getting off aren't going through the terminal.
That's awesome.
It's like, it's even like just designed better. And you're looking at them like, that makes perfect sense. Why haven't, and international does that, but domestic, we don't do that here. This was domestic. Everybody's channeled different directions. And then I fly back into the States, and I fly into Chicago O'Hare. And I'm just like, oh, man.
It blows my mind. Like, why aren't we doing these things, right?
Shouldn't we have the best airport?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think as you get trapped in these, again, political things and thinking that, we do it best and we can learn from a lot of other people. Yeah.
Yeah, there is some hubris, like the American hubris that is we're better than everybody. And I think construction, you mentioned it too, how you're looking beyond construction for inspiration. I think that's essential. I think construction's the industry, because it's so, I don't blame anybody. It's so competitive.
Yes.
Everybody's out to slit your throat every day of the week.
Right.
And you've just, you eat what you kill.
Yes.
And there's not a lot in the woods. So,
Yes.
it is an all-out brawl. And so you can't afford to look up and out.
Right.
Because you're fighting for your life every day of the week, which I get, but then you're trapped by all you're doing is just comparing yourself to the other names on that bid list, and
it's flawed.
It's flawed,
yes.
yeah, because then it kind of in a way becomes this rat race, and while and
where innovation and some things like that are not always recognized.
Sure.
That's why I do like the whole design build, especially when you have more of this, component of what do you bring to the table, not only in price. I mean, price has to obviously be a factor and be reasonable, but what innovation can you bring? What ideas? Instead, the unfortunate part, and it's the world we live in, is the low bid process. It's all about, installing widgets faster than the next person. And when you get into those kind of scenarios, then you miss out on coming up with ideas of creating an airport like you just described.
Yeah, and does it really end up being low bid at the end of the day?
It not
with the
always
whole
does.
change
Yeah,
order thing.
absolutely.
And probably in a lot of cases.
Or does it get
not.
billed on time?
Yep.
There's
Yep.
It's easy to be the low bidder. It's hard to finish it on time and within budget. And then again, just having where the taxpayer and the owner, whether it's the DOT or a public agency, is happy when you get done with the work.
It's the qualifications-based stuff. It's a double-edged sword. I think it's great, but then there's also the downside that is, it's great for C.W. Matthews because you have the resume for it. But if I want to start Aaron Witt's road building tomorrow,
it's true. That's true. And
It's
we kind
harder
of see it
for
with
me
the
to
bigger
get into-
guys than us,
Yes,
right? I mean,
yes.
that is the concern
Yes.
a little bit. Is it's just a beauty contest, or is it really,
Sure.
Look at, like I've always said, well, there should be a component of look at the past 10 jobs that contractor has built, that we have built, and just look at, have the jobs been completed on time? Is the owner happy? I would like to see more of that than it really turn into, it's a big name, a big national or international name, because then it could go the other way. And I could see smaller contractors saying that about us. So I think the best way to do that, I've mentioned it to owners in the past, is like, hey, check references, look at actual past history, how many have ended up in litigation, how many finished on time, and then base part of your score on that. And then I think you would be making the right decision. But but it is hard. It is hard to do.
Well, it's interesting. Even from your perspective, it's like there's only so many design build jobs in the state of Georgia,
right?
And there's never been one that's exceeded $1 billion.
Sure.
But then you could be Mr. Big Time Contractor 1, 2, 3 with 13 jobs because you work in all 50 states.
Yes.
13 of them.
Sure.
That's like and
your resume looks better.
And they make it really pretty. And,
yes. So then, ask questions. Go look to see how have these jobs really turned out. Talk to the other owners. I think that would be a better way of possibly doing it. But.
Yeah. It's I think where the industry really starts to get trapped is in workforce and labor. Because I think contractors, again, because of this hyper-competitive world, they think they're competing with those on the bid list for people. But that's just not how the labor market works anymore.
You are exactly correct.
You're competing within the labor market.
Yes, with other industries.
In Georgia, I mean, Georgia is very competitive.
Yes.
You've got the entire entertainment industry now. You've got Home Depot headquartered there, Chick-fil-A headquartered there. I mean, just
Delta. You've got all the large power companies, and now you've got all the big vehicles. You got Rivian, you got Hyundai, you got all the battery plants.
and Amazon's
you do,
on
you
every
do.
street corner.
But and I don't know if that the market's changed. Obviously, I know you know this. We focus on the high school side. The market, even with all that's going on right now, is actually pretty good. I mean, we've been able to attract. We are focusing, like we've discussed in the past, on the high school students graduating. We've got some in work-based learning, some that have come up after high school with us, and the whole state. I mean, what a great job the industry has done in Georgia. There's now 25 high schools with construction programs, with
Crazy.
simulators.
Yeah.
Just this past week, there was a train the teacher symposium that was done by all contractors coming together to do that. So it's not just us. It's not just, our competitors. It's everybody working together with this idea that, hey, all these graduating, there's over 600 students right now in these programs. We just hired 22 of them. So it really is solving the workforce for our industry.
Yeah.
But like you said, we're losing very few people to our competitors. If anything, it's to other industries that are coming in and attracting, whether it's compensation or benefits or whatever the case may be. But we're sort of continuing to focus on that. And at one time, it was like 5 or 6 schools. Now that's up to 25. And man, it's an amazing program.
What's the sell to high school students? Because if you were to ask the everyday person, they'd be like, well, one, no kids want to work anymore.
Right.
And who wants to work construction? Construction sucks.
Yes.
And every kid's going to college, so you can't get high schoolers anyway.
That's what you'll hear, but that's not what we're seeing or experiencing. So one just simple factor is that college has gotten very expensive, so not every family can afford that, or the student's going to get in huge debt. So, I think that's somewhat of a selling point. We are seeing a little bit of a transformation in that parents, are starting to say, hey, the trades that's a good opportunity. You should explore the trades. I love hearing that, right? Nothing against college. My kids have gone to college, but we're all given different gifts, and there's plenty of people that that the trades are where their gifts are. So what we're seeing is again, it just people like yourself, the industry in Georgia, it's just highlighting that, hey, this can be a great career. And then for us, it's become a little bit easier because now we can give actual examples of, hey, here are these 4 young men that graduated from high school. Now they're foremen for us. This is, what they're getting compensated. They drive a vehicle. They have their own family. So the story is actually becoming easier to tell because there's now examples.
More data,
Yeah, more data.
Yeah.
And then I think, this whole idea of these young people don't want to work, it's baloney. It's like, man, there's
silly.
some of these young guys are amazing. They want to work. They're, I was one of the young guys goes to the same church I go to, and I saw him. He's been at work since 4 a.m. dirty, and I'm talking to him. He's dusty from head to toe. And his comments are, I love doing this. I appreciate the opportunity. They see that there is a bright future, that financially they can do well if they stick with it. Now, is it hard? Sure. Is it long hours, hot, all those things. I think we're trying to, and we're doing a better job of just putting it all out there. Before, I think companies used to sugarcoat, oh, come work for us is a great thing to do.
Yeah.
Now we're more taking the approach of, hey, it's hard. It's long hours. It can be nights. It can be weekends, but these are some of the things that you can accomplish. And to have, a foreman at 22 or 23 leading other young men, and now we're seeing them mentor others, and our foremen and superintendents are buying in, and they're, they see that, hey, this is the future. This is how the company started, 70 some years ago. So let's spend the time. Let's not just throw up our hands and say, oh, it's just another young kid. It's like invest in them, because we need the workforce to continue to come in, and so that you have opportunities for you to move up, and more people are buying into that, and it's really working.
How many high school kids have you hired at this point? It's
oh, my goodness. I would say we're probably, in total, we're probably close to 200.
Wow.
Yes, so not all of them are there.
Sure.
We have also changed a little bit of that. We're bringing them in and kind of letting them explore a little bit, try them out before we make a final, okay, we're going to spend a ton of time. But like I said, the 22 that just came on this summer full time. I was we do a big event and bring their families in, and talking to some of them and their parents. There's some quality folks there. So.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm excited about the future. I mean, I think it can happen, right? We just gotta invest in them and make sure they feel like they're cared for, so that they'll stick around.
Yeah, and that I'm like, I heard somebody talk about this the other day. In a way, it's like you either have to convince people or challenge people, and it's frustrating. Like, I've tried the convincing thing. The convincing thing's not worked out very well. It doesn't work out very well. And so, like, I'm not the biggest fan. There's some great associations out there, et cetera. I'm not the biggest fan of just the traditional mindset in the construction industry, where it's like, let's all just get together on the golf course, pat each other on the back. We're all rich. Like, we're doing great. We're retiring in a few years. Life's good. And then that's that. It just, to me, it bums me out, because it's like, what's the point?
Right.
Like, why wouldn't you guys be working harder than ever to ensure the future's good to go? Like, what? Like, aren't you guys the ones that are supposed to be figuring this out and solving this problem? Like, instead, it's just like, well, that's that.
It's
Good
so
luck.
frustrating.
And
yeah,
it's like, wait.
Or comments like, well, nobody wants to work.
Yeah,
nobody wants to do
yeah.
that. It's so frustrating. I mean, it really is.
Well, and it's frustrating to me, because these are the people that are oftentimes in the way. Like, they're the ones telling me no.
Right.
And it's like, can you just, you believe what you want to believe, but when you're standing in the way of, like, when you're impeding progress, that has to happen at some point. Like, it's going to happen. When you're impeding it, it really frustrates me. It really, really frustrates me.
And creates a story that's not factual, right?
Yeah.
So, which hurts our industry.
Yeah.
Instead of, like you're saying, kind of focusing on, hey, this is a solution for the future. Let's stop talking about, what can't be done. Or, I mean, and it re-energizes the industry. I mean, to see these many young people coming in, everybody talks about, well, what's the future going to look like? And all these people are retiring. If anything, one of the great things about us having the opportunity to grow some is that now there's more opportunities for these young people to move into the next level. Because if anything, what I've seen is not that they don't want to work, is that, hey, you better be ready to provide them opportunities. The old, you got to work in this industry for 20 years before you can be the next foreman or superintendent. I do think that those days are gone, right? You got to be able to give opportunities as soon as these young people are ready. And that's, if anything, that's a challenge. And I love that challenge. Like that, we're battling some of that. It's like, okay, we got several folks that are ready for this next step. And how do we provide that fast enough so they don't get kind of down in the dumps because they don't have that next opportunity? So
yeah, but it's like, I think you guys are doing some of the best work in this category in the industry, but at the same time, it's like, what choice do you have?
Sure.
No,
exactly.
I want to pat you guys on the back because you deserve it, but then at the same time, it's like, it's what you're supposed to be doing.
And patting on the back doesn't do anything. I mean, I appreciate it, but no, what we need is who's going to run this paver in 2 years, and who's going to be the next asphalt superintendent or build this bridge when we're growing and you're doing $1 billion job. Like, you need some people to build this thing.
Yeah.
So if we're not developing, then we're going to die. So yeah, it sounds great. It's, no, we need it to survive. Because if we were not bringing them in, not recruiting them, and again, the great thing at a young age is that, they're willing to learn and they're asking questions and all that. It's not somebody that has already spent, half of their life in another industry and are having to restart. I mean, again, that is one option. We just haven't found that to be the best option. So, yeah, I'm super excited about that portion. Now, these big jobs coming into the area, I mean, does that lend itself to people trying to take your folks away? Yeah, but if you take care of them, hopefully they're not going to leave us for a quarter or 50 cents because they've seen we've invested them. I mean, got two full-time high school recruiters that are not only bringing them in, but then they're, spending time with them and with the foreman. And again, probably the best thing, I mean, although those two guys are doing an awesome job, what I'm seeing is the whole group, like the foreman, the superintendent, they're now, that took a while, but they're now buying in and saying, hey, to your point, I don't want to pat it in the back. It's just that I need somebody that's going to show up every day and give me all they have. And they're seeing that these young people, these young men and women are doing that. So now they're buying in and excited about bringing more in. So.
Sure. But that's a good point too, is that you all have invested in this. You have high school recruiters that are focused on developing relationships with these high schools.
We do. And somebody maybe that's a smaller company or whatever. I mean, you got to come up with your own method. But to me, it's like you pay an outside recruiter, 25% of somebody's salary or 20% to bring one person in. That adds up quickly. These guys are full-time. They're looking for these young men and women. And, I mean, the dividends, they're doing an awesome job.
What do you go to these high school career fairs?
I went to our signing day, which happened last week, and we give them the jerseys, bring their families up. We kind of recognize them. Yeah, absolutely. I love that part.
How do you pitch?
I pitch
this to a high school kid.
Well, I pitched the whole idea. At that point, they've kind of committed to work for us. They've been with us. Some are working their senior year and going to school. They're doing both under the work-based learning. And then we have, our group meets with them while they're in school once a year and kind of just talk about what's going on in the company. Obviously, we give them access to the podcast and everything else we're doing. But the pitch at, kind of when they're coming on is kind of what we just talked about. It's like, hey, not sugarcoating it, just going, hey, there's going to be a day in the next 6 months that you're going to get home. Mom, Dad, listen to this too. They're going to come home and they're going to say, this is not for me. I'm out. Like, this is hard. The foreman was a jerk to me. He cussed me out. I said, just give it one more day. Just wake up tomorrow and go again. And I promise you, if you stick with it. Now, you got to love it. Like, if you like seeing these machines run and you like the atmosphere and all that, if you don't like it, then, we want you to be happy. Don't stay with us. But if you see, hey, we all have bad days, then stick with it and the opportunities are going to be there. And then, like I said, I talked to them about just the power of just having a positive attitude. Like, go grab that old motor grader guy or that foreman. If you really go to him and say, will you teach me how to read these plans or how to lay something out or how do you do X? Even though they might seem a little rough around the edges, they're going to take you on and invest in you. That's what we're asking them to do. They're buying in. And like I said, the success rate, the retention is improving because, they feel like they're cared for. And, we're not sugarcoating it. It's tough, but you're going to have some good opportunities. And it seems to be working. It seems to, and again, it's not just about like you said, like patting ourselves on the back. It doesn't matter how many school students we bring in; it's how many are still there, and how many are moving up the ranks to be the future foreman, superintendents, VPs, whatever the case may be.
But some of them have done really well.
Oh, they've done awesome. There's four guys that are killing it, and some of them will get an opportunity to move up even, and then a bunch right behind them. It's been really good.
Yeah, it's like to the old timers' credit too. I've never really had a problem with the older guys. Like you can't take it personally because some of them are rough around the edges, or some of them are irritable or whatever it is. But like, I've had maybe 2 bad experiences of the thousands of people I've met on job sites now. I've had 2 bad experiences.
Without a doubt. I think the bad experience comes if they come in. We tell them that if you pretend to know it all, if you don't show up to work on time, those things are going to probably get you in a little bit of trouble, and it should. But if you're there and you're showing up early and you're asking that foreman during the lunch break or at the end of the day, will you spend a little bit of time and he sees that you care? I mean, 90% of them are going to be like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I'm in our point to the foreman, they know this. It makes their life a little bit easier. They don't have to be doing 3 people's jobs. They can back off and kind of see the bigger picture, which is really what we need them to be doing. So
well, and you can like the pride is substantial within this world, and you can leverage the pride people have to your advantage because everybody wants to talk about what they do.
Sure.
But it's not manipulation. It's like it's earnest questions. Can you just explain to me what the heck you're doing and why? It's unless it's like really obviously the wrong time, like you've got asphalt
10 trucks lined up.
down the street, and something's wrong with the screen. There's
without a doubt,
you've got to read the room. But I mean, if it's with that rare exception, again, I've never had a problem where somebody's like, no, I don't want to explain something. I mean, it actually amazes me how much time people spend with us. And even outside of people will be like, oh, well, it's because you're in this position now. But when I was a kid out on the job site at 18, 19, 20, just asking simple questions like that, it was just incredible how much people would offer me.
I agree. I mean, that's what helped me, and I still continue to ask.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's areas that I don't know, I'm going to go ask you.
Sure.
It's like, hey, why did we do this? Or, I mean, and like you said, 9 out of 10 times people want to show you what they do. They have pride in what they do, and they want to help these young people. I mean, and again, I mean, I've shared with them, and I really believe it's like, what legacy are you gonna leave behind? Like, nobody's gonna remember what project you build unless it went really bad. What they're gonna remember is kind of the impact you had in those young people. And we've been and we highlight them. I mean, I was telling you the story about our asphalt plant foreman. We had another foreman the other day. I mean, they're going to these kids' graduations. I mean, nobody's asking them to do that. They're forming these relationships. They go, the ones that have been working work-based learning, the foreman's going to their graduation. We had a picture this week on social media. The young man's like on the shoulders of the foreman at his graduation. It's like, man, when you see that, it's like, man, what better feeling? It's just awesome to see that, there's friendships being formed, that the people are caring for each other to me, that's what it's about.
And that's what, I mean, a lot of people talk about the jobs, but it's like a job's a job. That's like the legacy is the people you leave behind.
Yes.
It's the information you leave and the lessons you leave behind too. And that's something that troubles me is there's a lot of knowledge just leaving. And once it leaves, it's not written down anywhere. It just evaporates. And it's like, it's almost like, why'd you spend those 40 years? Because that wasn't an easy 40 years.
Right.
That was you learned some lessons, man. Like you touched some stoves, let me tell you.
Without a doubt.
Like, why not hand all that off? Why not make that concerted effort to give it to as many? And this is where it's such a shame, like where that pride and ego comes into play. And especially there is too the resentment from the older generation because they did have to do the 10 or 20 years like on the back of the paver before they had the opportunity to move into foreman. But it was just a different time.
It was.
And it's not better or worse. It's just different now. But I've seen it like they're sometimes resentful that, well, they need to do their time. It's like, so you're just going to withhold all this information or these lessons, or you're not going to invest in the next generation, or you're not going to like build your legacy because of that. Like, that's the hang up here. Come on. Like,
yeah. What a shame if that's what's happening. And it does happen, but man, if you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, look at all these people that I brought with me and that are now successful or getting opportunities, like, man, what a great legacy
it's
you
huge.
can leave behind. Yeah. Huge opportunities for that.
It's really cool. The signing day you guys do, was it
Yeah, it's
all
fun.
20-something kids?
Yeah, 22 at this one. Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
the biggest group you've brought in?
You know, I think it has been. I mean, we've had some pretty big ones, but I think that's probably the largest group we've had.
And then they're just scattered across the company?
Different divisions, yeah. Grading, bridge, we have quite a few there. Our asphalt plants division does great with it because stationary during school they can go to one place. The work-based learning is easier there, whereas an asphalt paving crew is they can be here today in a different place tomorrow. But on the grading side, bridge and asphalt plants where we're doing the majority of it, and it's working out great.
Okay, it's interesting with all this stuff how I know some people might be like, how many people does Cedar Matthews have? How big
We're
is
right at 1,900.
1,900.
Yes.
Wow, I would have said 15, but I guess the acquisition was a pretty...
Yes, it was. It was
300
around
something?
300 employees. Yes.
Wow.
So, yes.
1,900.
I know it's a lot of families, a lot of folks.
But this is where, I want to make this distinction where, a lot of people will be like, well, I'm not a 1,900 person company.
Sure.
Well, good for them. They've been in business 80 years. They probably have bags of money lying around the office, like in the cartoons,
Right.
with the big money sign on it,
Right.
and then kind of the dollars coming out the top.
Yes.
And so they can go, hire these high school kids and get the simulators and invest in leadership. Good for them. But why I can't do that. But the principles, they're sound. The
Right.
principles apply. You have to scale it up, scale it down. But the principle of investing in leadership,
Absolutely.
you can scale that up, scale that down. The principle of bringing people that are not experienced, particularly these young kids,
Yes.
into the business and developing them as producing adults, producing members of society. You can do that with one kid. You don't need 22. You don't need a high school signing day to do that. All of this stuff it applies no matter what. I feel like it's universal.
If anybody's listening and thinks that, and they say, "Well, I can't do it," then man, it would be I would be so disappointed or devastated or whatever. Because the idea, you're right. I mean, on the other hand, I think the advantage a smaller company has is if you bring one or two, you can really devote yourself to those two, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's a lot of times smaller companies can offer things we can't because we've got 1,900 employees, right? So
Sure.
You can't do this for one or the other. A lot of times smaller companies can offer things we can't offer. I think the idea is we wanted to go back to our roots because Mr. CW, he had an 8th grade education. He started out by bringing young people that worked hard. So that's kind of what we started thinking. It's hey, it worked back then, no matter the size. Mm-hmm. And again, it's just getting, if you're a small company and you just have 2 superintendents, but they believe in the same mission, they bring 2 high school students in and they pour into them. To me, that is easier than when you have 1,900 and you have 2 people kind of working on that with your HR team. So I don't think the size of the company is as important as the mission or the belief that, hey, this is how we move forward. And somebody had this really hit home for me a few years back. Somebody had sent us an old newsletter we had done, and they had it in, they were cleaning out their house or whatever, and in the letter it talked about workforce and you can't find people and all that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, we're 30 years later and we're still talking about the same problem. What are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
And that's kind of why we've gone this direction and just poured into it, because you can sit around and talk about nobody wants to work and the futures, of the industry is terrible, or you can do something about it at any level. And again, it's just the idea of whatever your values are or the culture of your company, you can do it at any size.
Yeah, and like you said, even at that smaller, it's advantageous because you can't get to everybody at your company.
Exactly.
But if you're a 40-person company, you could be hands-on with everybody.
Without a doubt. There's other problems, but that's one thing you can definitely do, right? You know everybody by first name. I mean, it drives me crazy. At one time, I mean, I knew every foreman's name and all that. And then recently we were, once a year we get all our team together, and there's a couple of guys there that I didn't recognize, and that drives me absolutely bonkers. So without it, there's pros and cons on your size for many reasons, but if you have 40 or 80, then your entire team, you can have a more personal relation, and that you should use that as your strength.
Yeah.
We utilize the other part, I mean, which is awesome, and I think it's reaffirming is that we have a ton of family members that work within the company. So the best thing I ever see is when a dad wants his son to work there. I mean, we got a ton of that going on. That's a good sign, and it tells me that we're at least doing something right. We screw up plenty of things, but we have a lot of third generation in the company, a lot of siblings and parents working there in the field, in the office. So we actually encourage that because, like I said, if you're a dad, you would only ask your son to come work at a place where you know that he's going to be treated well. So we want to see a lot of that.
I find that so human too. Like that's how a majority of humanity was you did what your parents did. Mm-hmm. Like that was the whole principle we evolved within. And now it's I mean, my parents live in Arizona. Mm-hmm. I'm here in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. I only see them a few times a year, which is wildly unnatural, just that alone. Mm-hmm. And that's the parent-child like working together. Like that's almost evaporated within modern society in the United States. Mm-hmm. But it's not common in construction, but it's not rare either. Like I love. If that's one thing I do now, if there's especially like a father and son working, or husband and wife, or whatever it is, if there's family working together, I always ask to take their picture.
That's awesome.
Always, because it's like, and they're always like, they're construction guys, and I don't want my picture taken, this and that, but it's like, but I know that will be one of the most valuable photos, and maybe not now, but I know for a fact that will be one of the most valuable photos they have.
Without a doubt. I mean, how exciting.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
And it's just, it's so, it was Father's Day not too long ago, and I went through and tried to find as many as I could, and I like forgot about some. I'm like, and just looking at them, you're like, this is just so cool.
Yes.
So cool. There's one on the wall out there. It's like it's two mechanics, and the son, I didn't tell them to do it, but picked up his dad and is holding his dad.
How awesome. I know what picture you're talking about. I have seen that.
And it's just so special.
It is. Caroline did that for Father's Day not too long ago. She had a ton of pictures posted that day, kind of happy Father's Day. And it was just a reminder of how many people we have that are father and son, or like I said, entire families that we have where their uncles and brothers are all working there. It's pretty neat.
Finally, I shared this morning, of all people in the world, Larry Fink is now talking about how the trades need more people. Go figure. Like BlackRock, the evil empire of itself. Like he's the last person that would be talking about it, and he's talking about it. So there's your problem. And then, I shared that, and somebody commented, well, but don't you worry, there's all this conversation about AI and technology replacing people, so on and so forth, and autonomous machines, and you see these clips go, and I'm partially guilty of this, where like the remote operation, it goes nuts. Like, wow, I can run an like, look at this room of operators running excavators in China, from their living room. He commented saying, well, it should, I think maybe people aren't getting into this because they're just going to be replaced. Do you think robots are going to be building billion-dollar road jobs anytime soon?
No.
Because it seems like you're making a pretty big bet on people.
Yes. we're making a huge bet on people, and I will continue to do that. Do I think that all of that has a place? Sure. I mean, we just started recently running our first autonomous roller.
Oh, sure. With blue light?
Yes, with blue lights. So pretty neat concept, right? Mm-hmm. So what did we do? I mean, the roller operator is now operating something else. Like, we're not going to 200 of these tomorrow. We're exploring. I think it's important to stay in tune with all of that. Without a doubt, use technology. I keep saying, like, what I really want is autonomous vehicles, because for us, a lot of the crews go to the job site together. So we have vans that pick up and then they go to the job site together. Well, one of the largest safety concerns, something that worries me at times, is, hey, here's this person that's worked 12 hours, 10 hours. Now he's driving the whole crew home. He's tired. Yeah. He might have some issue at home he was dealing with last night. I always say, man, if that vehicle could drive itself while they rest, how awesome would that be?
Or all the vehicles 5 feet from your paving crew.
Exactly.
Middle of the night.
Yes. Yeah. If they weren't coming into our zone, because we have that once a month, we have that. So from a safety concern, that'll be awesome. The day it's coming, right? It's not a matter of if it's coming, it's when. So I think it's a combination. But to your point, like, it's not, we need people. This is not going to change anytime soon. So I'm not betting on that. Now, again, I think a combination of exploring opportunities, creating better safety conditions for the employees, and ways to mitigate some of that. I'd love to see the innovation there, and we're trying to stay up with it. It changes a lot, but without a doubt, I'm still betting on people.
But it's not that different from, like, GPS.
Correct.
Okay,
that's a great example.
GPS grader. Now there's not a guy pounding hubs.
Yes.
But pounding hubs sucks.
Right. That's right.
No one wants to do that.
Sure.
And so you on paper you put the hub pounding guy, the grade checker, out of work, but, like, no one's sitting around.
You're still looking for people, right?
Yeah.
He just moved to a different role. If he loves construction, maybe he's now the motor grader guy because he knew how to pound stakes and he has the knowledge behind it. So it's not going anywhere. Not only in construction. Plumbers, electricians. It's just not going to go away.
People are talking about it, but I'm just I don't see it.
I don't see
all.
it either.
And I've been fortunate enough to see the world's finest autonomous equipment. I've been to operations that are wholly autonomous. Everything there is autonomous. There's still a lot of people.
Yes.
Like there's just as many people on those operations maintaining everything to ensure the trucks can do what they need to do. But even the roller situation, it's like you can't automate every roller you have. Because you can't put an autonomous, it just wouldn't even make sense to put a autonomous roller in, just a one lane. You're doing like a turning lane, for example, and it's, small area, whatever it is. Like it's for, larger areas, and being on a roller, it kind of sucks. It's a very important role, compaction. You can't build anything without it, but no one is, like, thrilled to be on a roller all day.
Yeah,
especially on just a pad or something like that.
Or a small job, like you said, or rolling every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So I'm in 100% agreement with what you're saying. I think, there's a place, there's another place for that person that was doing that role. And I'd love to see the innovation, but without a doubt, it will not take away the important role that these folks are doing, and all the our VP of Over Asphalt sent me a video the other day. So one of these Waymo vehicles was coming through a paving job, and the road was narrow, and the paver was kind of taking over half the road. Well, the vehicle stopped, like it did not know what to do. There were people in it. and it would not go any further because the paver was blocking part of the road. So another vehicle would have just kind of gone a little bit on the curve. It didn't, which is great from a safety standpoint. But it's like, and then, so we had to pick up the paver, move it out of the way so it could go in. Well, as soon as it started traveling, we had a crew on the sidewalk. I guess it recognized them, so it went right into the hot mat where we had the roller. And I'm like, so... Yes, I mean, all this will have to be modified. It's not going to take the common sense like, hey, don't go here, right?
Yeah.
So in what we do, it changes every day. It's different, especially, you can use a roller compacting a pad for a building, but you put that next to the interstate or, a driveway, you're paving next to a McDonald's and there's 1,000 vehicles coming in and out of there. I think we're years from that. I don't think we should ignore it, but at the same time, I think the need for our industry is going to be there for a long time.
So you're not like rubbing your hands together, like we get to get rid of a roller operator now.
Oh my gosh, no. We're
Finally,
like, okay, now we got a guy that can actually, run the dozer or whatever the case may be. So we're just going to move them to another spot.
Sure. Well, and that's what's funny too. It's the, I've asked everybody working around autonomous equipment, what do you think about it? Everybody likes it because the machines do what they should do.
Sure.
And then it allows them to go do other stuff.
Right.
Or work in support machines or move up a little bit faster. Like it allows them to work in other parts of the operation.
Definitely.
Yeah, there was a video I saw. It was a Waymo. It was in San Francisco, and it drove into a construction area, and the road was shut. They were doing utility work or something like that, and so it drove in slowly, like it didn't run through the site, but then it just got stuck. Like it didn't know what to do.
That's exactly what happened in this job.
But these construction workers are like, so what do we do with it?
Right. Well, some of our guys in the video, you can see they're like talking to, like when it got close to them, they were like, whoa, somebody was going to stop. So, I mean, your mind just hasn't comprehended that, hey, this is what's going to happen or what we're faced with. But that's hilarious.
Who do you call? Or
Exactly. I don't know if it was real. I saw one the other day where I guess the thing was speeding and a cop stopped it and there was nobody to talk to, right? It was making a call or whatever. But yeah, you'll face some of that. But, it'll be interesting. I mean, I think, again, there's a place for a lot of that. I mean, we have 27 asphalt plants. Is there a day where, not every plant's running every day? Could you be sitting somewhere in a more central location and run 3 plants at one time? Yeah, possibly.
Sure.
Again, I look forward to that. Well, at the same time, is that plant operator going to lose his job? No, we're just going to move him to do a different role. To your point, he's either going to move up, work on the service side. He might be the guy leading that operation. I mean, who knows? But we're looking for folks all the time. So
well, and another point, I think the same guy made today, and I've seen this made. It drives me nuts. I feel like it misses the point of human nature, but how like work from home gigs are now all the rage, and how everybody wants to work from home, and that's a commonly held belief from the older generation. Like, oh, these kids just want to work from home, but it's like, I just don't think. I think that is true for some, but I don't think like that's a large swath of the population. I think there's, and even more so now than ever, I think it's starting to, like the pendulum's starting to swing in the other direction of like, well, wait a minute, I want to work with other people. I want to be outside. I want to create. I want to know like what I'm doing in the world. And while flexibility is important for some, I think there is, especially like that's where the women in construction conversation gets me a little bit. It's like women in construction, but we want them to work 80 hours a week. It's like, then just stop.
Right.
Like just stop the conversation right there. Like those things don't really
they have a young child.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
2 kids at home. It's like, explain to me how that works, and then I'll get on board with it. Right. But until you can give me a good explanation,
it's not going to work.
We're not talking about it.
Yes.
But I just think there's a strong there's a strong desire for what construction industry, trades in general offers. It offers you the ability to create every day. And I think that's where the United States has gone off course, is like post World War II, we started to become this consumption knowledge economy. And I've thought a lot about this, where it's like the biggest industries in our country, they're consuming. Like they're not, I always thought, again, going back to me being Mr. Naive, that everybody that was wealthy had created stuff. They'd like built a company, or, you know, they were really smart and did this or solved this big problem or that. But then I found out that most of the rich people are in finance or law or like these, and there's good people in each one of those categories, but like a big part of those industries, it just consumes, it just takes, it doesn't create. It's not creating value. It's not adding to the world.
Right.
Whereas construction is almost purely additive. You're almost it's like by definition, what you're doing is creating value.
Yes.
Unless you're building a road in like the middle of nowhere.
Right.
But that's not what happens. Like this is a whole world and business dedicated to creation that benefits everybody. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to, like, there's your pitch. It's not that complicated.
Yeah, I was eating lunch not long ago. I just met this gentleman. There was the chief of staff at a very large hospital system in Georgia, and just great guy. He had ascended through the ranks at the hospital, had started out doing maintenance, lawn maintenance, like taking care of it, and has moved up. And it was so neat. It was a great reminder, not that I didn't know this, but hearing it from him. He was just sharing about the CEO of the hospital and how they had grown and how he had moved up. And I was saying, like, man, your role's like so important. Like y'all at the hospital, you know, you're impacting lives, you know, making life-death decisions in essence. And I mean, without missing a beat, he said, y'all's role is just as important. I said, unless you're building that road to my hospital, we can't bring our patients in there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this idea, if you can think about it as, hey, I'm just out here shoveling asphalt or dirt or running a roller. But if you look at it from that perspective, to your point, is, man, what we do is just amazing. It's building. It's just changing lives. We came up with the slogan years ago with y'all's help, is like getting Georgia home, getting Florida home. It's kind of this idea that, man, it's just like more than just, you know, we're out here like building widgets or whatever. It's what we're doing is impactful. So I think you make such a great point in that it's just, it's so important. And when you start seeing it that way, I mean, it changes your whole perspective, right?
Sure.
So.
Oh, it does. Yeah. Yeah. But then once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's
right.
like, wow, this is.
Yeah.
This
and
is
the pride that then you have when you drive through the road and you tell your family, hey,
sure,
you know, these guys are always talking about that.
They're sick of hearing you talk
absolutely,
about it. They're rolling their eyes in the back seat. Like,
you're still excited. It's like, you know, years later, you're like.
Yeah, we had the paver breakdown over here.
Exactly. You're like, whatever.
Yeah. They've heard it 7 times.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, excellent. Well, I really appreciate what you all are doing. I hear about you guys all the time. I mean, everybody's talking about C.W. Matthews.
No, that's kind.
So, like all over the place. So people are definitely watching.
That's kind. We, like I said, we got our problems and issues, and we work just like everybody else. We just, trying to focus on really just creating. I mentioned that the first time we met, and I think it still holds value. I on purposely went back and listened to our last episode, because sometimes I feel like were we doing the flavor of the day? Like, were we working on something that didn't last? Sure. I started thinking about that just in the last couple of days, knowing that I was come up here, and as I listened to it, I was like, man, we actually made some of these things happen.
Okay.
Like we're still working on some of these things. It was kind of good for me as a reminder that, hey, because that's a fear sometimes. It's like, well, we just work on this for a little bit and then we just move on to the next thing. But I think that's the key, is like if you're working on building good folks and your culture, you know the values of caring for others and thinking about what you've been saying all along of building an industry in the next generation, then at the end of the day, you can feel good about what you've done.
When was that?
That was 22, June of 22.
Oh, 3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so it has been a little bit.
It has been.
Okay.
It has been.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess one other thing too. It's I think it's very interesting, and it is so hot in this room.
It is warm.
Man, it's driving me nuts.
I'm
It's like the rest of the office is freezing. Then over here we can't make it cold. It's driving me nuts.
I thought you were doing it to lose weight.
No,
I'm the one. Or for me to lose weight. You don't need to lose weight. You're running marathons. I'm just doing a podcast, sweating like I just ran 100 miles.
No, I did. Yeah. I'm still jet lagged from our trip, and so I was up at 2:30 this morning.
Oh,
so
goodness.
I did 2.5 hours on the bike.
Oh my
this
gosh.
morning, because it's like, there's nothing else to do at 2:30 in the morning.
Oh no, that's awesome.
I've done my share today, but I also find it really interesting. I've thought a lot more about religion and the religious context of, like, it's so interesting how the construction industry is largely on the same page when it comes to faith. The more I've started to watch for it and listen and just observe, it's like everybody's kind of on the same program. I think most everybody is more quiet about it, which is why until I've started to learn about it myself and get more into it myself, I've started to look for it and notice it even when people aren't talking about it. But with you all talk about it, which I think is pretty interesting. Has that always been the case at the company?
It's not always been the case. The foundation and the Christian values have been there all along, but it's not always been talked about until the past probably 5 or 6 years.
Really? So somewhat recently.
It's somewhat recent, yeah, I would say. And even till this day, we're not trying to push anybody and per se. We just wanted to align with our values. And it's something that I think it's not easy to do, because I think the importance of it is you have to, if you're going to talk about it, you have to kind of walk the talk, right? So I think the worst thing that could happen is you're saying one thing and acting in a different way, because that'll turn people away or turn people off from it. So we are open about it. That we have a company pastor, but again, we're not forcing it on everybody. We just want. I would rather somebody say, "Hey, what's different about them, or what's there that maybe I don't see or I'm not missing," and then they go, "Oh, maybe it's the faith component." Then to necessarily. I mean, we don't have a strategic plan on how we're going to talk about faith or anything like that. It's just, and it's very interesting. The guy that's our pastor, which I love, Todd. We were talking about this the other day, and somebody had mentioned something there are no Christian companies. Like, a company can be Christian, right? It's the people in the company can, and so that's really more of kind of our thought behind it, to say let's build great men, women, try to help him. Really, his role's there to be an advisor for the foreman when he's dealing with an issue on the job where an employee just lost their child, or somebody's going through a hard time. Mental health is obviously a big topic in our industry now. So it's more to be there for others when they need us. It's more about all of us kind of being on the same page that, hey, we want to follow these principles, these values, and then if somehow, I love hearing you say that you've noticed it and that you yourself are inquiring more about it. I mean, I think it's a personal journey that we all are in. It doesn't matter at what level it is, but if you surround yourself, I mean, I love what Jason is doing. I mean, he's pretty open about it too, and that y'all have, and we kind of do it the same way, like y'all have in the morning session at Third Talk. If you want to go, great. I mean, we're not out there pushing it, but here it is. If you want to attend, go for it. And man, I love that.
Sure.
And you're right. I do think that in our industry, you tend to see a lot of people that share those same values or beliefs.
I think it's a majority.
Yes.
I think it's.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I think it's a majority. I just think it's interesting how you all talk about it, which I think is really positive. Like, I think a lot of people don't. I'm guilty of that too. Mm-hmm. Just not even talking about it from like just a personal standpoint.
Right.
But even I was on a paving job. It was like a pretty high profile job. I forget what street that is, but the mayor came out.
Yes. On DeKalb Avenue.
Yes. Yeah, DeKalb. Yeah.
Yeah.
But before the crew got going for the evening, they were on night shift. They all prayed together.
Yes. And we don't tell them to do that.
No.
I mean, they do that on their own.
Yeah,
so
but
that's what's awesome.
I feel like it's the only time I can think of that I've seen that on it. I may have seen it a few other times, but that's the only time I can think of right now that I've seen that. But I thought it was pretty spectacular. I was like, wow, this is something else.
Yes. It is. And it is. It's amazing to me. And I think it's at the core of, why they have, for example, that crew has such a great camaraderie and union, and they look after each other, and it's kind of just basic golden rule kind of thing, just treating people with kindness, and hopefully, that's something that's shared among our people, and it might not have a specific name, but we tend to all share in that, and the belief and the idea of that caring for others and having faith and not being scared of sharing it will hopefully please God and again just it's unique. It's unique in that we speak about it, but it's not unique in the industry, like
Correct.
you said. And I mean, I just encourage others to do the same. When we brought the pastor on, it was a little bit of concern. I'm not going to lie. Like, is this going to, some people are going to leave the company or be turned off by it or whatever. And 99% of the comments that we receive from employees is like, we're so glad. I mean, he's done weddings, he's done funerals, wow. He's been there at the hospital, but it's not only our pastor, it's not a one-person job. Like, our whole team has kind of bought into this idea that, hey, this is who we are. And then, I think, again, it's not just about words, it's about the actions. And I think it even puts more pressure on the whole team that, hey, if we're saying one thing and we're behaving a different way, then the worst thing that could ever happen is that we, somebody gets turns from their faith or moves away from it because of something we did and don't follow what we say. And it goes into pretty much every decision we make. And at times we're making hard decisions, but kind of keeping that as our focus is important.
But it keeps you accountable too.
Absolutely.
It's like there's no better accountability system than that.
I agree 100%.
It's worked for thousands of years
Absolutely.
for a reason.
Absolutely. So thankful that you brought it up.
Yeah.
Absolutely it does.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming up here.
Always love spending time with you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I want to talk to you about coming down and see you all, but we can do that after we wrap up.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.